Each and every individual has their own unique perspective, a gift that allows them to interpret the world and view everything that surrounds them. The world is filled with a vast array of beautiful landscapes, nature that is appealing to the individual eye. However, the mystery lies within how to capture this beauty in a form of art in order to help it transcend the present day and into the future. So to uncover this mystery, we are going to travel back to a time before the present day, to when art was exploring this capability to capture the beauty of nature. Sometimes art that has the biggest impact on us are depictions of our everyday lives, art that makes us pause, feel, and think. Such paintings should represent real and existing things, which is the driving force behind realism. Realism is the style of painting that inspires to depict what the eye sees in everyday life. The movement began in 1850s France as a revolt against Romanticism to emphasize the real and existing rather than embellishing in an accurate perfection of beauty. This was a time of revolution, a time where both the French and Industrial Revolutions spurred dramatic change across the world. In early times, religion, mythology, and philosophy were considered the highest truths. But during realism, truth transformed into the world that people could hear, touch, taste, and feel. A common characteristic was the rejection of artistic theory rules, a break from religious and mythological themes. Realist art aimed to portray scenes as they truly were. Like realists, Impressionists aim to depict what the eye sees in everyday life. However, rather than capturing this depiction with intricate detail and technique, Impressionists depict a scene as if the viewer may have only caught a mere glance. Impressionist painters differed significantly from the French Academy of Art in their views and artistic styles. They often faced rejection by the Academy, who strongly valued more historically acclaimed techniques, focusing on the theme of religion. However, the public were able to judge the rejected work for themselves, which exposed the world at large to an entirely new style and technique. Impressionist art is characterized by short brushstrokes that gives an overall impression of the scene, rather than a finely finished and detailed work. Also, vibrancy is a critical aspect of the Impressionist canvas. Impressionist artists ensure vibrancy through the use of dominant, unblended colors. One way vibrancy is depicted is in the way of natural light, which was used to depict how a glance of a scene changes over time. Overall, although both realists and impressionists wished to establish a common goal of portraying scenes as they truly were, they utilized very different styles and techniques to do so. To establish a more in-depth comparison of the depiction of nature in the Realism and Impressionism art movement, I would like to draw viewers' attention to one famous piece from each movement. The work of focus for the Realism movement is by William Baker Bliss, a man who is considered one of the leading landscape painters of America during the mid-19th century. The work of focus for the Impressionism movement is by Claude Monet, a man who was ambitious to capture one object in different seasons and various times of day in order to capture how the image of the subject changes over time. The realism painting by Bliss that we will focus on is Fallen Monarchs, which portrays the natural cycle of decay and renewal in the American wilderness. The Impressionism painting by Monet that we will focus on is Haystacks, which is an element of his series paintings that utilizes the haystacks as the subject that is repeatedly portrayed through various seasons and times of day. First, we will focus on Bliss's Fallen Monarchs. Notice how he utilizes intricate detail to bring the trees to life. The trees in the foreground extraordinarily capture what viewers may see with their own eye. Also notice how Bliss includes fallen leaves on the forest floor. Although they are just a mere detail, they add life and a realistic essence to the work. Now, let's compare this to Monet's Haystacks. Notice how there is much less detail in the work, yet this painting does not lack a life of its own. Although it does not contain intricate detail, Monet utilizes color and broad brushstrokes to capture the impression of the subject. Also, notice how the light from the sun creates a shadow both on the subject itself and on the ground, which is what a viewer actually sees at this time of day. Returning back to the realism painting, you can make note of these differences. In addition, notice the detail in the background of the work. In the background, there are fallen trees, broken sticks, a stream, and trees with varying maturity and health. Now observe the lack of detail in the background of the Impressionism painting. Although trees are evident in the distance, they are faint, and they do not draw attention away from the subject. This is an excellent example of how Impressionists depict a scene as if the viewer only caught a mere glance. In addition, in Fallen Monarchs, notice how the scene is not romanticized. It is not a depiction of an unrealistic perfection. Instead, the trees of varying maturity and health capture the beautiful imperfection of the true wilderness. Finally, Monet captures an impression of how a viewer accurately sees the haystacks by painting the same image during various seasons and times of day. These next paintings are paintings of the same subject, but notice how Monet utilizes color and shadows to capture how the image of the haystack changes according to the placement of the sun in the sky. Also notice how Monet captures the effect of changing seasons in his depiction of the haystacks. Apart from the snow in this painting, you can also infer that it is winter because of the lighter tones and smaller shadows. In conclusion, as you can see, artists from the Realism and Impressionism movements both capture the true essence of nature in their work. However, they utilize varying styles and techniques to do so. Now that we have had the opportunity to venture into the past to gain a better understanding on how different art movements utilize different techniques to achieve a common goal, it is time to return back to the present day, back to where our journey began.